was as if the very walls whispered secrets, and I, an unwitting intruder, had stumbled into their domain. My name is Alex, and I've always been drawn to the mysterious and the unknown. So, when my friend, Sarah, told me about the abandoned wing of the hospital, rumored to be haunted, I couldn't resist the opportunity to explore it. Little did I know, I was about to uncover something far more sinister than I ever imagined. As I cautiously made my way down the corridor, the soft glow of my flashlight casting long, shifting shadows on the walls, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards beneath my feet. I paused, listening intently, and that's when I heard it, a faint, ghostly whisper echoing through the darkness. "Help me." My heart skipped a beat, and I spun around, shining my light into the empty hallway. But there was nothing there, just the empty stretch of corridor, lined with rows of closed doors. I hesitated for a moment, my instincts screaming at me to turn back, but my curiosity got the better of me. Ignoring the voice in my head, telling me to leave, I pressed on. As I approached the end of the corridor, I noticed a door slightly ajar, a thin sliver of light spilling out from the room beyond. With a trembling hand, I pushed it open, revealing a scene straight out of a nightmare. The room was small, dominated by a rusted metal bed frame in the center. The mattress was torn and stained, and a tangle of wires snaked across the floor, disappearing into the darkness. But it was the walls that caught my attention, covered from floor to ceiling in strange, indecipherable symbols, painted in what looked like blood. I took a step back, my mind reeling with a sense of dread. What kind of place was this, and who would do something like this? Before I could make sense of it all, another sound cut through the silence, a low, guttural growl emanating from the shadows. I swung my flashlight around, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was nothing there, just the empty room and the symbols leering down at me from the walls. I told myself it was just my imagination, that there had to be a rational explanation for all of this. But deep down, I knew something was terribly wrong. With a sense of growing unease, I continued to explore the abandoned ward, each room more disturbing than the last. In one, I found a collection of rusty surgical instruments, stained with what looked like dried blood. In another, a row of empty beds, their sheets twisted and mangled as if someone had been thrashing about in them. But it wasn't until I reached the end of the hallway that I found the source of the whispers, a small, windowless room tucked away in the corner of the ward. As I cautiously pushed open the door, my heart stopped dead in my chest. The room was empty, save for a single chair in the center, and sitting in that chair, bathed in the sickly glow of my flashlight, was a figure unlike anything I had ever seen. Its skin was pale and mottled, stretched tight over its emaciated frame. Its eyes were sunken and hollow, staring blankly ahead as if lost in some endless nightmare. I wanted to run, to scream, to get as far away from this place as humanly possible. But something held me in place, rooted to the spot, as the figure slowly turned its head to face me. "Help me," it whispered, its voice barely more than a hoarse rasp. I echoing off the walls as I ran. But as I reached the entrance to the ward, something caught my eye. A small plaque mounted on the wall, barely visible in the darkness. Quarantine ward, it read in faded letters, and in that moment, everything clicked into place. The whispers, the symbols, the figure in the chair, they were all part of something far more sinister than I could have ever imagined. I didn't stop running until I was safely outside. The cold night air a welcome relief after the suffocating darkness of the hospital. But even as I caught my breath, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching me, lurking in the shadows just out of sight. And as I glanced back at the hospital